a commitment to provide a honest, sincere, visionary, committed, transparent, and disciplined leadership as the Secretary General of AAU. I've also committed myself to operate the business of AAU with integrity and with a high sense of responsibility and great commitment. This is the message I've been passing to our founders, our development partners, since I came into office, and I will not stop making the same commitment. I'm committing myself to the vision of making AAU to be the leading advocate for higher education in Africa, with the capacity to provide support to our member institutions in meeting national, continental, and global needs. All of us, we are concerned about higher education to enhance the quality and promote the relevance of AAU to the higher education community in Africa. Our mission, our vision, mission remain the same, but I want to emphasize on our core values: academic freedom, transparency, accountability, equity and inclusiveness, excellence and professionalism in the way we operate, responsiveness, sustainability, teamwork, cooperation, and solidarity. These values are what is the things that are driving the whole of us in AAU, and I want to appreciate all the staff of AAU. I don't need to run after anybody before they do their assignments, because all of us, we have been driven by these core values that we have committed ourselves to. I, on behalf of all the staff of AAU, we've made a commitment to honesty, sincerity, to be visionary and disciplined. And I've told them I will be the number one to be at the forefront for this. We've made a commitment to higher education in Africa that, unlike the old perception of people about organizations in African continent, AAU is making a difference in that we are ready to be accountable. We want to operate with accountability, with integrity, and overall, for our member institutions, I believe that we want to make great impacts beyond our tenure. And I'm not just speaking for myself, I'm speaking for the board of AAU. In carrying out our responsibilities in AAU, there are 12 priority focus that we are committing ourselves to. We look at this as our assignments in AAU. 1, capacity building and empowerment of higher education. 2, promotion of quality higher education with emphasis on skills and competencies of our graduates. 3, AAU is going to be a knowledge organization. Therefore, research for development will be part of our intentions. We are going to promote strategic collaborations and dialogue with development partners, not just within Africa, but beyond Africa. We are committing ourselves to some continental initiatives through collaboration and partnership for development. We will be helping the African Union Commission. We are the lead agency for the African Union Commission on issues connected with higher education. We'll be helping them to take higher education policies based on relevant data. We've also committed ourselves to promoting diaspora initiatives. There are so many of our people in the diaspora. Our intention is to connect them to universities within Africa. We are committing ourselves to some public broadcasting. You will have been seeing some of the products of AAU TV. We want to promote academic mobility. And we are also planning to cater for the next generation of academics. Research and forum for collaboration or policy making will be our focus. I will quickly just take each of these 12 areas that we have committed ourselves to. Capacity building and empowerment in higher education. We hope to do this by organizing leadership and management workshops. We also hope to do this by organizing webinars, whereby we call on our members and academics in Africa to talk on various issues. We've been doing some of them. For example, we did the past 18 months that I've been the Secretary General. We've had webinars on the future of higher education in Africa, university research for innovation, digitalization and higher education, TVET and skills development for Africa, academia industry linkages, diaspora homecoming. These are issues that we've all discussed. We've been looking at issues connected with health, climate change, food and agriculture, and energy. And we are open to engaging us to discuss other issues that may be of relevance to us in Africa. Number two major area is that of quality. We want to promote quality higher education for skills and competencies. I want to appreciate the Obre Global team. We've been on a project sponsored by the European Union, quality assurance and accreditation for higher education in Africa. And just yesterday, we are starting the third project that will last for 5 years. And during this period, we'll be looking at quality assurance, digitalization, teaching and learning, entrepreneurship, smart university systems, and just as I mentioned, we are also looking at the credit system within the African higher education space. Europe has what they call the ECTS, European Credit Transfer Scheme. This has made it easy to transfer credit from one university to another in Europe. We want to do the same thing for Africa. And that's why I want to initiate African Credit Transfer Scheme. And myself and Pablo in Argentina will be leading this initiative. So quality assurance will be part of it. We also believe that we'll be promoting knowledge and research for development. These are some of the areas that we'll be focusing on. But we are not just going to limit ourselves to these sustainable development goals. In fact, that alone has covered most of what we need to talk about: climate change, food and human security. The idea about having a higher education journal is on the table, but I'm not sure, we've not succeeded so much in that, but we still want to pursue it. We are going to be involved in some strategic collaboration and dialogue with other development partners and other stakeholders. And I believe that the conference we are in now has reflected that. One, we will discuss within Africa. We are connecting ourselves with other regional organizations like IUCA and others. And especially we want to connect ourselves with the French-speaking countries within this country, within Africa. The fifth one is the continental initiatives that we'll be involved in. Aqua 3, I've mentioned it. We are connected highly with the African Union Agenda 2063. We are helping universities with the African Quality Rating Mechanism that we started. We are not abandoning that project. In fact, if not for luggage, we've been able to produce 700 copies of a manual that universities can get and use to do their own internal quality assurance without needing to seek for any external help. Higher education policy and research. Last year, we decided we are of the opinion that we should have a data policy unit program within Africa. We are not able to accomplish that purpose in the Aqua 2 project, but I'm glad that with Nottingham University, We are pursuing that idea of having a data policy unit, whereby if anybody needs data about higher education in Africa, they should be able to come to AAU and they get this. And as you know, in fostering policy, we have the capacity to get higher education leaders together, just as we've done in this COREVIP. The strength of this COREVIP is the ability of vice chancellors to talk with each other, go into partnership with one another, and then through COREVIP, our intention is to bring to the fore new issues that need the attention of higher education within Africa. I hope we've been able to do this in the course of this COREVIP. Next 2 years, it will not be COREVIP, but a general conference. We'll call you to that so that what we've started here, we'll be able to report to you. I'm glad too that the idea of higher education ambassadors has come up. I want to thank the ambassadors that have been appointed and to know that we'll be looking up to you to tell us the state of higher education in your various regions and where we need to come together to take some actions. I want you to know that AAU will be committed to doing that. African Centers of Excellence program. Dr. Sylvia is with me now. She's the senior manager in that project. She's going to tell you more about it after I've left. But beyond that, we've started asking ourselves, after the World Bank, will that be the end of the Centers of Excellence initiative? Are there some things about the Centers of Excellence? One, making universities to collaborate with industry. Making universities to do research that are relevant to the industry, to the extent that the industry will be happy to support the university. Making the university to look for students beyond their own region. We don't need the World Bank to be able to do that. The culture is very important. We hope we'll be able to encourage universities to imbibe the culture. By the time she presents her report, you will see the details of this. Diaspora initiatives. I'm glad that we have some people from some diaspora organizations in Africa. Our plan is to prepare a compendium of African academic diaspora, a database that anybody can say that those in diaspora who are Africans, where are they? And every year, we have started what we call the annual African Academic Diaspora Homecoming Summit. It's not that they come physically to Africa, but we connect them together as a family for about 3 days during that summit. Last year, I made a proposal that with the development in higher education, you do not need to limit your faculty to the physical people that are on ground in your departments. Our universities can have virtual diaspora faculties. You've seen somebody that is doing well in America or in UK, that person can be connected to and become a virtual faculty member of your department. The benefits are much in that they can connect you to so many things and they can even influence or improve the quality of your graduates. We hope that Diaspora Trust Fund that will support diaspora to come, that is being done in Carnegie, and we are hopefully, by the time we have the next diaspora program, going to promote what I call Diaspora Give Back to Africa program. Not just for money, but services, ideas. And our TV program, our TV station is promoting the Diaspora Academy. We are looking at them where they are and highlighting the work they are doing in the diaspora. I think I've mentioned the Centers of Excellence, higher education policy and research. We are setting up the data policy unit. Am I going back or going up? Okay. AAU Public Broadcasting. I'm glad with the work that the AAU TV is doing. and to note that we shall continue to encourage them. There are other areas in which we broadcast higher education in Africa. We have various social media platforms. We produce some policy briefs on issues that are of importance to higher education. We have AAU newsletters and blogs, Twitter, Facebook, and others. We are going to continue to commit ourselves to all this. Building the next generation of academics. And the way we want to build the next generation of academics is by building the capacities of our directors of graduate schools. The capacities of our directors of graduate schools. Thank you. And part of what we want to do for the next generation is promoting research and academic mobility among African universities. So we want all of us together to be concerned about the next generation. And those are the various initiatives. Academic mobility. In the past, we used to support thesis, master's thesis, by giving our young ones some funds to support the thesis, but that fund is no longer available. But we hope that we will resuscitate that initiative again. We hope that we can support student research mobility. We are going to support webinars among students, graduate students, and where we get support, we'll be able to give scholarships and grants to our young ones. Research strategies. I think I said a lot about that in my presentation earlier on in the day. Ladies and gentlemen, AAU is available to serve the higher education community through all these initiatives which I've mentioned. We are responsible to the African Union Commission in Addis Ababa as their higher education partner in executing their activities. I've talked in my first presentation about AFRID, and I've told you of the networks of researchers that we are bringing together and how we want universities to be together. One area that we've not been very successful is with the private sector. Within the past 1.5 years, we've been trying to work with the business community in Africa to set up an African Education Trust Fund. But by the time we were working together, it looks as if some people have another agenda. We've not been able to execute that. We have to come back and think beyond that. But for us, we can create what we call the African Skills Bank, whereby there will be a database in AAU. If you are looking for any type of skill, you should be able to go to that database and get information about the type of person you want to engage. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the 12 or 13 major areas that we've committed ourselves to work on. I've shared them with you. If you have some other areas you think we should be committed to as AU, we are ready to commit ourselves to that. But beyond that, I want you to know that the AU you have now is an AU that is responsive, committed, and ready to serve you. I will just give you some highlights of what has been happening in the Secretariat. To note that we are starting new projects. Phase 3 of the harmonization of African higher education, quality assurance, and accreditation initiatives. That started in May, but it was launched yesterday. Another new project that we are starting is the Science Granting Council Initiative, Public-Private Partnership Project. I was in Uganda 2 weeks ago, where we had a whole discussion on this. And I was also at Abuja with the National University Commission, where we are partnering with the Nigerian with TED Fund to start, although they've started, a Nigerian equivalence of a science granting agency for Nigeria. We hope we'll be able to do. We are also doing the same thing for Sierra Leone and also for Gambia. We have put up some proposals, new proposals that we're expecting to report on. One is the strengthening the Europe-Africa digital ecosystem. The other proposal that is that on research on the decolonization of the internet. There's also another proposal on managing organizations for regional research networks to promote sustainable future of work. These three proposals, we are expecting reports on them, and we are hopeful that we'll be able to join them to our projects. The ongoing projects in AAU are the following: the African Higher Education Center of Excellence for Development, which started in 2016. Am I correct, Dr. Silva? 2013. World Bank project, 14, and it's still ongoing. The good thing is that the World Bank has assessed AAU, and they have confidence that AAU is capable and can be trusted to manage such a big project. Aqua 2 has just been concluded in January, and we are starting the Aqua 3 now. The third one is the Science Granting Council Initiative, which is ongoing. Phase 2 and Phase 3. We will continue to work with ESSA. We've just concluded the demographics of African faculty, but ESSA is here. We continue to work with them to develop new projects. We have a project with the French, French-speaking countries on PRICNAC, the promotion of research, innovation, and digital culture in Central Africa. Is a project involving the French-speaking countries in Central Africa. There are two other projects. These are not really making money for AAU, but we hope that they have potentials to bring some revenues in the future. The African Just Board project. Many of us may not know about it. It's a project, is a platform whereby if you want to advertise vacancies in your universities, just send to us in AAU. We'll help you to advertise on this Just Board. And we will be able to engage people beyond your country so that you really behave like an higher education institution. We also have the AAU e-learning platform, which is available for you to place your lectures so that other countries or other institutions can connect to what your own people are doing. We have set up a partnership unit a year ago. And this partnership unit is already yielding fruit. And we have a partnership manager in AAU now. And through this, we have been, within the past 1 year, we've entered into MOU with the Latin American and Caribbean Space for Higher Education enlaces. I know that through this collaboration, they are in this particular meeting. We've also signed an MOU with the University of Namibia. That's why we're able to hold this COREVIP here. We have an MOU with ICANN, Internet Corporation for Assigned Names and Numbers. We have another MOU with the University of Toronto, and the Vice President attended this particular conference. And we have an MOU with the Perivoli Africa Research Center of the University of Bristol. That is what has led to the research charter that we've signed. I also want to note that we have a program of communication in AAU. When I came in last year, one of the first assignments I took up was to produce a report of the 15th General Conference, the future of higher education in Africa. And I've also made a commitment that this conference we are in, we must produce a report of all that we've discussed so that tomorrow somebody should be able to pick up that book and say that, what can we do to promote excellence in Africa? And your decisions in this meeting will be contained in that report. So there are various other publications that we are involved in for us to promote higher education. And the communication unit is also promoting AU through some of the materials, souvenir materials that they produced, which you've seen in the course of this meeting. I want to appreciate the ICT unit for the great support that they've been giving AAU. Without the ICT unit, we are nowhere. So to note that the ICT unit led by Madam Nodumu, she is the Director of ICT and Knowledge Production in AAU. Please, can you stand up for them to recognize you? Thank you very much. Our website is functional, and we keep on improving them. These are some of the reports about the status of our website in AAU. Also the social media, Twitter, and you see the outlooks. Our Facebook, AAU blog, and even the AFRID website. The report I've received is that 432 individual researchers have registered in the AFRID already, and 79 research networks people have registered in the university networks. 18 universities have registered so far. I hope that your university too will get connected to the AFRID. Our LinkedIn report for 2020 to 2022 is what I've provided on the board. Social media, I'm not sure you can see all these things. I too cannot see from here, in that we are able to track the number of people connecting to us in different countries. AAU TV, I've mentioned that earlier on. These are some of the programs they run in AAU TV, AAU Talks. We have TV news on higher education, and to note that we are ready to come to your university to cover you and showcase your university to the world. ICT support. Knowledge management. We are into some knowledge management activities, promoting open access, promoting digital science. We are connected with the Public Library of Science, and we are doing some capacity building initiatives with them. The Africa Centers of Excellence, Dr. Sylvia will be talking more on that. Now, this is very important. As of today, we have 436 universities. Unfortunately, not all our members are up to date with their subscription. I want to seize this opportunity to appeal to our Vice Chancellors. Please, we encourage you, support us by paying for your subscription. The type of service we give to you will be more than the money you are paying. And to note that we realize that some universities have been owing for so many years. We've seen universities owing for 10 years, 15 years, meaning that the payment of 3 or 4 vice chancellors of the past has been accumulated. And we've given you a blanket check to say that I will be calling you if you have a big load of backlogs, and we can reduce them to minimum. Quite often we'll be reducing 5 years, 6 years to 2 years, so that you can connect back to your organization, the Association of African Universities. If you want to know the details of the universities, the status of universities in terms of their subscription to AAU, you'll find them on AAU website. But please, those of us that we've given debt forgiveness and we've reduced 10 years to 2 years, help us to ensure that you make the necessary payment. And vice chancellors who are here, who has not paid the annual dues, please, after this meeting, I hope you'll be able to get convinced that you should pay us. Staffing issues, human resource and infrastructure. As I mentioned, we have our secretariat built for AAU by the government of Ghana. But at the last meeting that I had with the board, we've challenged ourselves that if the government of Ghana has built that structure for us, what can we do for ourselves? And I made a proposal to the board that we'll be planning on how to build what I called did I call it a conference center? Convention center. And I want to thank the University of Cape Coast, who has agreed to give us architectural support free of charge to build a convention center. To also know that we are concerned about our staff. Unlike before, I believe that all the staff of AAU agree we are paying salaries as and at when due. We have an insurance cover for all the staff of AAU. As of today, we are an organization with 26 permanent staff. I don't know whether it's really permanent. Nobody is permanent in AAU. Everybody is under contract. And if you fail to meet up to the standard, the Secretary General can terminate your contract anytime. So we have 26 of us in that category. We are being supported by 36 support staff, mainly from Ghana. We are also having yearly National Youth Service people. As of this year, we have 9. So on the whole, we are an organization that is being run with 71 staff on our roll. If you are from AAU, you are one of the staff of AAU, can you stand up? And please, probably come to the front. Let all the AAU staff come to the front. Yes, all the AAU staff come to the front so you see the people who are really doing the work. Let's do it fast, please. These are the great men and women that are doing the work in AAU. They are not all, but to seize this opportunity to thank you for the great work you are doing. Thank you very much. You can go back to your seat. And to say that I made a proposal to the board during the past 1 week. I said, I want to introduce many of our academics to international activities. I just found out that many of us in the academia, we just get to our universities and don't go out. And we have opened what I called a 1-year sabbatical in AAU for academic staff. I've also said that you do not need to leave your university before you start to be of service to AAU and know what is happening in the world. And that's why I've also proposed to the board that we should start what I called AAU Higher Education Associates. You will be in your university, but you will apply to be an associate free of charge. But when you render services from your university as an associate, we will pay you. But within your university, you will have the tag that you are an AAU associate who can be called upon to contribute to webinars, who can be called upon to attend meetings on behalf of AAU. I will make that call again so that you know AAU sabbatical for young PhD graduates, but AAU associates for anybody, not just vice chancellors, who may be interested in giving service to Africa on higher education. Those are the 2 initiatives that has been approved by the board, and I want to thank the board for this approval. In conclusion, AAU is your organization. The future of our association is bright. Our old partners are coming back. They now have confidence in AAU. Many organizations are becoming interested in AAU. In fact, we are having new partners, new people showing interest in AAU, and we are delivering on our projects. New projects are getting attracted to AAU, and I believe that the morale of the staff is high to deliver and operate optimally. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you very much, SG. I will now give the floor to Dr. Sylvia Mukandawire, who is going to talk about projects, who is going to talk about the World Bank SE project impacts. We still have 15 minutes for the whole session, so.
I will tell you, one of the great people doing great work in AU is Dr. Sylvia Iwandigweli. And when I saw the amount of work she was doing, we've decided to promote her from being a project manager to a senior project manager in AU.
Thank you very much, Prof, and the chair for the session. My name is Sylvia Nkandawire. I am coordinating the Africa Centers of Excellence for Development Impact for the West Africa and Djibouti. So I will be taking you through the S Impact project. This is a World Bank funded program in collaboration with French Development Agency, but it's a loan given to the national countries. So this project is owned by national governments through a loan from the World Bank. So we normally say World Bank funded, but in reality, these are government-owned centers. So I'll just show you the ACE model, how it's contributing to the Africa we want, and the ACE, how the ACE model is contributing to the change that we want to see in the African higher education sector. And then I'll also go through to show you some of the impacts and reflect with you on some of the key success factors that we see as contributing, emerging from this model. So I would like us to imagine, just within few seconds, let's imagine an Africa that we want. An Africa that is resilient, an Africa that is self-reliant, an Africa that has capacity to adequately skill its people, and an Africa that is globally competitive, contributing to global innovations and research. This is what Agenda 2063 tries to achieve for the Africa we want. So through the World Bank, French Development Agency, they funded the S Impact project, and this is one of the examples that are presenting a model or a mechanism how Africa can achieve its vision. So what is this model about? So the Africa Centers of Excellence is a series of regional higher education projects that aim to improve education, training, and applied sciences at postgraduate level in key priority areas. And these are STEM, that's science, engineering, mathematics, agriculture, health, industry, and other related fields. So unpacking this model, you will see that secular illustration. These centers of excellence are centers within universities, are hosted under the umbrella of universities, and they were competitively selected. There was a rigorous selection process for these centers to participate, and each had to identify the priority areas according to the development challenges they had identified. And then the project follows a result-based approach, financing approach. So it provides incentives for centers to produce results before they get their funding. So they produce results, what they've achieved, then they get their funding. And then it promotes regional networks of ACEs and partners. I think we had a very detailed presentation yesterday during the regional cooperation parallel session. And we also have some booklets at the AAU stand about these regional networks emanating from the ACE model. And then also there's a strong push for institutional accreditation and international program accreditation. Centers are being supported, or universities are being supported to attain their institutional accreditation through the incentives provided in the model. And then it also rewards institutional impact. I see a number of vice chancellors here. They are part of the ACE implementing team, and they've been supporting these centers at institutional level. We appreciate you and we acknowledge your support, particularly in the aspects of institutional impact, which is one of the key indicators in the project. And then there's also strong push towards innovations and entrepreneurship. So all those components, they form what we call the disbursement linked indicators for the model. And when the centers achieve their results around those aspects, they get their funding. So operationalizing the model, there is the change that we want to see through the theory of change illustration diagram that I am to share with you now. So within that, this theory of change, it shows some of the components aligning to education and research, which includes provision of scholarships, providing opportunities for universities to update their curriculum and get new programs and that are internationally accredited, and also upgrading the teaching facilities, the state-of-art facilities that they are developing for their institutions. And it also provides resources for partnership engagement, private sector engagement to support internships and form somewhat we call sectoral advisory boards that would be guiding the implementation of these centers. And then also provides technical assistance for benchmarking and ranking, and finally, facilitation of this project. So all that are aligned to various indicators of achievements, which we keep tracking, including the numbers of students, the number of programs that are internationally accredited, functional regional networks that have been formed, and then academic institution benchmarking processes that are existing. So with that, we have the 3 project development objectives that we are currently tracking. We have one that's increased quality and quantity of specialized postgraduate programs, then enhancing quality of specialized programs for development importance, and finally, the increased development impact at institutional level within the postgraduate programs. And ultimately, with this change, we have 2 levels that we want to see the impact. First one, at institutional level, we would like to see sustainable and globally competitive postgraduate programs. And secondly, economically, we are looking at contributing to skills, increased skills, because we have reduced skills gaps, and we want to increase the productivity in the priority 6 areas that the S is trying to achieve. So how are we managing this project? Structurally, we have an organogram here, just to share with you that it's a collective effort. It's a regional project, and it requires a lot of stakeholders in it. So we have a 2-level project steering committee. This is at ministerial level and at government level, where we have ministers participating to project steering committee, and these are ministers of higher education and ministers of finance. And then we have government representatives, that's the 2nd level, where you have permanent secretaries and the directors of higher education and finance also participating in that ministerial meeting. And then we have Association of African Universities, as Professor Oyore indicated. We were selected as an implementing agency for this regional project because of our skills, the competencies that AAU presented, and also the reach within Africa. We are reaching almost a number of African countries. So S is actually had pillars already to be implemented within the AAU because of our structure. And then at country level, we have national steering committees, and these are national governments and other private stakeholders that were constituted in each countries to provide the support in terms of overall overseeing the project at country level. And then the host universities, these are the host universities that are housing or giving the umbrella body to the ACEs that are existing. So you have some institutions that have more than 3 centers in one university. So you see host 1 having 3 ACEs in one university. So that's how we are managing this. As you can see, there are so many partners, and when you have a number of partners, many, there are always complexities in managing the diverse partners. So here I just want to take you through the history of the S, how it began, and where we are at the moment. So in this figure, you will see that the World Bank committed to fund the ACEs in 2014. So this was the first phase of the S. And at the beginning of that phase, there were some features that they were responding to at that particular time based on the identified development challenges that were documented for that period. So the first phase started in 2014, and fortunately, AAU was the first regional facilitating unit to this first higher education flagship by the World Bank. So with that phase, we had about $165 million being committed to support 23 centers in West Africa. And then because of the successes of that phase, each phase is 5-year period. Immediately in 2016, the World Bank saw the need to expand this project to Southern and Eastern Africa. And then in Southern and Eastern Africa, we have Inter-University Council for East Africa. I think we had representatives from the Inter-University Council. They are hosting the second phase of the S. It's still going on, but I think they are almost towards the end of that phase. So that also came with 24 new centers being implemented. So in total, for first phase and second phase, we were at least at 46 by 2016. So the key features now in the second phase, they now started developing some of the new features to respond to the gaps that existed in the first phase. So some of them included issues of supporting scholarships for women, because the gender issues, they kept persisting. So they wanted to train more females. So in the second phase, more women initiatives were included. And then we kept on monitoring the successes, and now that led to the third phase, which we are currently implementing again at the association. So we've been a regional facilitating unit for this project twice, for the first phase and now for the third phase. But now the third phase is about impact, expanding the impact that we've realized from first phase, second phase, and going forward. So there are also key features that were added to what was already existing. So what is new in this phase, it's now the engagement of the central leadership at university level, so that they are part and parcel of this implementation. Centers do not exist on their own. They are part of institutional members. So the vice chancellors in this phase were given an opportunity to actually implement some of their vision that would be included in this phase, and make sure that there's more institutional impact at that level. And then in 2020, because of more demand, a lot of demand for agriculture thematic areas, the World Bank added another phase to the second phase. Now they have additional ACs that are currently going on. So currently, we may have, we were supposed to end this phase at least by June 2024, but the World Bank has now constituted an impact evaluation assessment. So we are waiting for the results from that assessment that would define the next steps for the S impact. So that's just the process, the history around the S impact. So currently, illustrating it from the African map, as you can see in this slide, you'll see that we have over 70 centers all over Africa, but at least in 20 African countries. And for the participation for this ACE, the government needed to show interest, to express interest through the Ministry of Finance. So most countries expressed interest, and that's why you see them participating. But some that are not participating, they did not show interest. But maybe with what will be coming out, they may be interested to also join in case of additional phases. So we have all these centers as illustrated there in various thematic areas, and you can see that there's also immense opportunities for partnerships. There are many, and we have Francophone, Anglophones, all working together, even Portuguese in Mozambique. We have a center there, so there are so many, immense opportunities available for partnerships and collaboration. And I note we have diverse stakeholders here, and we are also addressing in different aspects that may be similar to the ACEs. So here is an opportunity for partnerships with the ACEs. So breaking down those centers in key sectors, you'll see that out of those 20 are healthy centers, 16 are agriculture centers, they are addressing through agricultural priority issues, then 8 energy centers, 9 are ICT, then 6 education, we have 2 material science centers, and then 4 colleges of engineering. So these are just ACEs as broken down. So what have we achieved now to date? A lot has been achieved. So as in stats or at a glance, you will see that for the selected indicators within the theory of change I presented earlier on, I would mention that there's been significant progress in training the students. So we have trained over 74,000 students in Africa for all the 3 phases of the S. And also we have trained we have 93 postgraduate programs that are internationally accredited, and these are in the ACE centers that I presented earlier on. And then as part of the sustainability is inbuilt in the project model in a way that centers are supposed to generate revenue. There are incentives of generation of revenue. So the centers have generated over 145 million US dollars as part of their revenue. And the idea is that they continue to generate this revenue and continue implementing their activities beyond the project funding. So beyond those statistics, we've also seen some impact coming through the centers. Tangible impact, solutions that African researchers in the centers are providing to Africa and beyond. So I'll just point out few centers. There are many here. As you can see, we have Nigeria contributing, Ghana, Burkina Faso, Senegal, Togo, and others. So you will see that I'll just pick an example of a Ghana center, COREVIP. This Ghana center, it's a center in health, but they are working on genetics. And what had happened in one of the areas or communities in Ghana, there was the entire community, they had issues of hearing. So people thought that community had been cursed. Maybe there were issues with the ancestors and other things, and the whole community was cursed. But then this center has been working tirelessly to find solutions, what had happened to that whole community. So they went and did a research and realized that there was at least a gene mutation that was responsible for hearing impairment. So that center now has been working towards developing diagnostic tests to screen all newborn babies and see how they can improve the situation. So that's type of African solutions that we are getting from some of these centers. And then we have another center in Senegal. This is SAMEF, and they have a mobile clinic, as you can see the vehicle there. And this mobile clinic is supporting the maternal and child health by bringing the medical care to remote areas. So that's also how they are contributing to the solutions of the Africa problems. And then I would also like to share with you some of the impact from the agric centers. We have some agric centers like WAKI and CDA, that's Ghana and Nigeria, and they are investing so much in crop improvement. So far they have 180 crop varieties that are more disease tolerant and also drought resilient. And finally, there's one center that really formed partnerships with UNDP, and they are providing agri-technology startup seed fund, and giving to students. So the best students with the technologies or innovations, they are being given these seed grants so that they can implement and grow bigger in their vision. So I think these are some of the innovations that I wanted to highlight. But as you see from the slides, there are more stories. I just picked out few. And then for the research publications, which I showed earlier on in S at a glance in stats, we have those publications that are emerging from the project. And there are incentives that the project provides, encouraging them to publish in high impact journals, Scopus indexed. So what AAU has done through the Department of Knowledge Management, which Madam Nodumo manages, we have now developed a repository, and in that repository, we are accumulating, we are actually profiling and cataloging all these high impact journals so that many researchers can access, because this is what is coming out from the centers that are impacting to the African development. So I think these are accessible. If you go to the website, you'll see so far we have close to 3,500 that have been quality checked, but there are more that we are quality checking so that we can have all of them accessible widely. So now I think I would like to just reflect with you what makes this S model successful. So the S model is successful in many ways. And first of all, I would like to mention that the partnerships and collaboration arrangement for the project has been very key in achieving the indicators of the project. So we've worked with many partners. As you can see, the model has many aspects, but partners come in and pick components that are aligning to their vision to support. So we have a partner through the French Development Agency. They provided funding of 6 million euro grants, and these were awarded to the ACE partner, to the ACE networks. And then we are also partnering with a big private sector like IBM, providing internship support, as well as also advancement of faculty staff in digital training. And we are partnering with EPFL. I think when COVID came in, we had to find ways to quickly adapt in terms of our teaching. Some universities closed, but immediately the project partnered with EPFL, and we trained a number of faculty on how to teach online, use digital content, convert their content to digital, and then procurement of high state-of-art facility for digital education. And we are also partnering with Morocco. We were in Morocco last month, and we are getting a number of partners from Morocco in various aspects. And secondly, the S model is successful because it's government-owned initiative. The government are actually supporting funding through a loan. So there's a lot of support we get from the Ministry of Finance and Education for ownership, and they are implementing it as their own project. So I think each initiative that is regional or national, I think it is key to have ownership from the government. And then it's also successful because of the embedded sustainability plan in the project design. As I mentioned on revenue generation facility, they get incentives to generate more revenue. So this revenue, the idea is that the projects should go on beyond the ACE funding. And finally, on what makes it successful, I would also mention that there's strong emphasis on policies and guidelines for the universities. So before each center engaged or university engaged, they had to produce a number of policies, including sexual harassment policies, scholarship policies, regionalization policies. So all these policies are there, and we've been supporting the centers to implement and also monitor. A lot of capacity building activities we've done to make sure that people are adhering to these guidelines. And then it's the other thing is the strong emphasis on monitoring and supervision, which is at high level. We engage subject matter experts. These are international experts who actually visit the centers twice in a year to provide technical advice and direction, as well as also bring in some new partners that they can work with the centers. And also twice every year we meet, we convene as project stakeholders to learn, get feedback from the beneficiaries, and then see what we can improve and move together. And it's also a platform for identifying any challenges that we encounter within that period. And lastly, because of the other aspect is on capacity building. This is an innovative or an innovation model that we are using, and it's always important that we provide capacity building consistently in various aspects. That's the only way we can get results out of the project. And finally, the World Bank does not insist any new policies. We always adhere to what is in the national laws and guidelines. So there's nothing like bringing new policies or diverting from the national mechanisms of implementation. So I think that has also been a successful feature because the countries are implementing based on their national laws and guidelines, and it's easy to just streamline those aspects. So lastly, I would like to just say, I think this regional project has just provided one example of those models that we need to expand. And it's good to hear from the previous sessions, the parallel sessions, that Africa, we are thinking of an inter-academic mobility for Africa. Because what we've learned, at least from this model, regional projects, they have, they are able to support promotion of specializing diversity of skills and sharing of resources, and also so there's sharing of skills and resources, leveraging of economies of scale to achieve high impact, and then also they deepen the regional integration, cross borders interaction and regional mobility. And lastly, they trigger regional and international spillover effects. And we've seen also in many aspects, the aspects of digital resources, curriculum that we've been working on the S, all these spillovers, they've even gone beyond the initial S centers, but they are all over within institutions and other institutions working in collaboration. So thank you very much, and that's S model in a nutshell.
Thank you very much, Sylvia Kandawure. It is not easy to share a session where the SG is one of the presenters, so you can't stop him, not only because of that, but I thought it's a good idea to having him presenting here his idea. This is the first time he's addressing COREVIP, so I think it was important that he can explain to us what are the ideas, what are the dreams, and what he expects from us as members of the Association of African Universities. So we can take some questions or observations from the floor. Microphone for the third row here. Microphone, where? Here.
Thank you, the panel chair. The presentation, as well as the vision and the activities of the organization as presented by the Secretary General, is quite commendable. And I pray and wish that we have energy and drive to pursue them. From the presentation, there's a very strong link with individual universities, and which is obviously reflected in the presenter. But I want to suggest, I didn't see that clearly, and if I miss it, just for the purpose of emphasis, that AAU will need to connect very strongly with the regulatory authorities in each of the countries. Because we also see, for example, you talk about the quality assurance system. And I know that the issue of the quality assurance program has been a long one. I know DAD did a lot of things several years ago in East Africa on quality assurance. But we also know that these individual universities are subject to the regulatory framework in country. So as much as we are trying to promote this togetherness, this exchange across Africa, it will be important that we also have strong representation, strong involvement, strong interface from AAU with the respective regulatory authorities in country. I think it would be better to do that than the government, and so that they also be on board to be aware as well as promote some of these good practices rather than be putting stumbling block in the path of individual universities in our aspirations to be global players. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will take another two and then we come to the comments from the panel. Please.
Thank you very much. My name is Henry Alinitwe, and I'm from Makerere University in Uganda. I want to thank the person who has presented on the ACs. At Makerere, we have 2 ACs, and they are doing very well. On the issue of the Secretary General's presentation, yes, it has been very rich, and there are so many aspirations. But I want to dwell on the issue of the numbers of universities and also the payment of fees. You've said that you can reduce on the areas from 10 years or 12 years, 2 years. And I was wondering how generous this person is. Is it a question of the amount of money that should be paid per annum that is making people not pay or universities not pay? I think we need to analyze the economies of scale. Here in this forum, the membership is largely, I think, skewed towards a certain region I won't mention, or even towards a certain country. If all universities in Africa were to join and were paying a modest fee, how much would we fetch? So I think the issue of the fees needs to be revisited, but also we shouldn't be that generous that you can waive off fees for 12 years and say you just pay for 2 and the other 10 are forgotten. Otherwise then you are setting a precedent. I think even for us at Makerere, I would ask my Vice Chancellor that maybe we should not pay and then also benefit from such an arrangement. I thank you.
The last one. Back there.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to emphasize one of the points that was highlighted by the Secretary General about the diaspora, that we know that the African diaspora, especially the science diaspora, occupy a third space between the continent and the rest of the world, because when they leave, contrary to the popular thesis around brain drain, the fact of the matter is that there's actually brain gain due to knowledge circulation, brain circulation going on, and as well as brain sharing that occurs through multiple affiliations that some of the diaspora scientists have with Africa and their respective institutions. The challenge, which I wanted to just maybe put to our vice chancellors, is that there's not much support from the universities in Africa to encourage these multiple affiliations that some of our diaspora scientists can have with their universities abroad and with those in the continent. And sometimes they really do not need much money, except providing affiliation as well as providing accommodation and sometimes transport, depending on the universities that they are. So vice chancellors of universities, I want to support the Secretary General to say that you should recognize that there is a lot of brain gain that comes from our diaspora academics, that because especially those of them that when they leave the continent as academics, continue to be academics outside the continent. If they do that through connections that they bring back to the continent, through appearing in forums where they give lectures, books that they give back, and they actually then contribute to brain gain for the continent. So we should stop seeing academics, scientists who leave Africa and go abroad as lost to the continent. They usually do not get lost. They come back and give in many ways. But many of them need support, recognition from universities, to ensure that that sharing, that brain sharing takes place in order to make it brain gain for the continent. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will give then the floor to the presenters, SG and Sylvia, please.
The first question is on connecting to regulatory agencies. Yes, the new Aqua 3 project that we've just started, including the African credit transfer schemes, we are going to be dealing with regulatory agencies in each country. In addition, we will be running some pilots with 100 universities in Africa within the next 5 years. But to note that for Aqua 1 and Aqua 2, I was not involved. The issue of quality assurance was ceded to DAD in Germany, and they have been the one running quality assurance activities. But good enough, we've insisted that there is no way you will run quality assurance in Africa and you will leave at AAU. So we've decided, I hope, Nico is listening from Ubre Global, AAU want to be part of the quality assurance activities that will be run in Africa. Then, the number of debts. I want to apologize to our members who may feel hurt that AAU started in Morocco in 1967 with 33 universities. Now we are now 430 something now. Unfortunately, we found out that many of those 33 universities have accumulated annual dues of 15 years, 10 years, owned not by the current vice chancellors, but by the past vice chancellors. And those who are there now are not willing to carry the debt of their predecessors. And in order to attract back these our old friends that we know that we need, that's why we are just giving them this only window. If they fail to pay the 2 years in the next 1 year, I think they go back to their 10 years record. But we hope that they will do. I want to thank you for the diaspora, but please, I am appealing to universities. Let us make use of Africans outside Africa. The idea that you cannot use a virtual faculty is no longer tenable. They can contribute to your postgraduate studies. Encourage each department to look for our diaspora outside Africa so that they can identify. They will not even ask you to pay them salaries. It will help to improve the quality of higher education in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much again to the presenters. I will not spoil the presentations, but I think just a few comments to take home. From the SG, I think we have learned this commitment to AAU and also his aspirations regarding these organizations. From Silva Mukandawile, we have learned that the ASE project is our instrument to reach the Africa we want. There is a space for new universities to come in because it has been shown to be successful. Once again, a hand of applause to the presenters, and thank you very much.
Just before we leave, to let us know that we have some vacancies in AAU. We need a dynamic person who can serve as a director of research and programs. Please, if you are interested, send your CV to me, as we need to get this person employed urgently. But that director of research must be willing to come over to Accra, live in Accra, and work in Accra. And I tell you, get ready to travel often. Thank you.